On a cold and foggy night in June 1962, an extraordinary event unfolded within the concrete walls of Alcatraz Island, an isolated prison fortress in the frigid waters of San Francisco Bay. Frank Morris, a cunning criminal with a history of audacious escapes, and brothers John and Clarence Anglin, crime partners with a turbulent past, meticulously crafted a plan to defy what many considered impossible: escaping from Alcatraz, the maximum security prison known as the Rock. Alcatraz, with its reputation for being impenetrable, housed some of America's most notorious criminals, including Al Capone and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. The prison was surrounded by treacherous waters, strong currents, and frigid temperatures, making any escape attempt a suicidal endeavor. However, for Morris and the Anglins, the hopelessness of the situation only fueled their determination. The audacious plan began to materialize months before the fateful night. Morris, with his sharp intelligence and strategic planning skills, led the operation with military precision. The three prisoners shared adjacent cells in B Block, allowing them to communicate and coordinate their efforts in secret. The first step of the plan involved creating secret passages in their cells. Using metal spoons stolen from the canteen and other improvised tools, the prisoners patiently dug through the concrete walls around the ventilation outlets. The work was arduous and time-consuming, requiring hours of silent and meticulous effort to avoid detection by the guards. As the passages deepened, the prisoners faced significant challenges. The concrete was dense and resistant, and the noise of the digging posed a constant risk of alerting the guards. To muffle the sound, they worked during periods of increased noise in the prison, such as during meal times or movies. The excavated material was carefully collected and hidden in their cells, in hollow spaces in the walls and under the beds. To avoid suspicion, the prisoners gradually discarded small amounts of rubble during recreation times in the prison yard, with the secret passages in their cells nearing completion. Morris and the Anglins turned their attention to the next critical component of the plan: the construction of an inflatable raft. The idea was to use the raft to navigate the waters of San Francisco Bay to freedom. To build the raft, the prisoners secretly collected over 50 rubber raincoats, which were distributed to prisoners for protection against the rain. Using an improvised heating system made with steam pipes and contact glue stolen from the prison workshop, they carefully sealed the raincoats to create a rudimentary inflatable raft. The construction of the raft was a complex and time-consuming task, requiring extreme precision and patience. The prisoners worked in secret in their cells, hiding the raft under construction under their beds and in other hidden spaces. They also built paddles from plywood stolen from the prison workshop. As the escape plan neared completion, Morris and the Anglins faced a final challenge: how to escape from their cells and reach the island's shore without being detected. To deceive the guards during the nightly rounds, they created realistic dummies of themselves, made with a mixture of human hair stolen from the prison barbershop, cement, and papier-mâché. The dummies were carefully positioned in their beds, with blankets pulled up to their necks. To give the illusion that they were sleeping, the prisoners even added real hair to the dummies to make them more convincing. On the night of the escape, Morris and the Anglins executed their plan with precision and courage. After the guards made their last nightly round, they quietly escaped from their cells through the secret passages they met in an unoccupied service corridor, where they had hidden the inflatable raft and paddles. The prisoners carried the raft and paddles to the island's shore, avoiding the spotlights and guard towers. Reaching the water, they inflated the raft and paddled into the darkness of San Francisco Bay. The next morning, when the guards discovered that Morris and the Anglins had disappeared, an alarm sounded throughout the prison. A massive search was launched, involving boats, helicopters, and tracking teams on land. However, despite the intensive efforts, no trace of the escapees was found. The disappearance of Morris and the Anglins from Alcatraz shocked the world and cast a shadow of doubt on the prison's maximum security reputation. Authorities launched a thorough investigation to determine how the prisoners managed to escape and where they went. Despite the exhaustive search, the whereabouts of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers remain a mystery to this day. The FBI led the initial investigation, gathering evidence and interviewing witnesses to try to reconstruct the events of the night of the escape. However, the lack of concrete evidence led to a series of theories and speculations about what happened to the fugitives. One of the most popular theories is that Morris and the Anglins drowned in the frigid waters of San Francisco Bay. The strong currents and low water temperatures made the crossing extremely dangerous, even for experienced swimmers. In addition, the prisoners' improvised inflatable raft may not have been adequate to withstand the adverse conditions of the bay. However, others believe that the fugitives managed to reach the shore and disappear into the vast landscape of California. Some unconfirmed reports suggest that Morris and the Anglins were seen in various locations in the years following the escape. However, none of these claims have been proven. Over the years, several clues and potential evidence have emerged, only to lead to dead ends. In 1962, an inflatable raft similar to the one used by the prisoners was found on the shore of Angel Island across San Francisco Bay. However, it was not possible to definitively determine whether the raft belonged to the fugitives. In 2013, a letter purportedly written by John Anglin was delivered to the FBI. In the letter, the author claimed that he and his brother Clarence had survived the escape and had been living in secret for decades. The letter also stated that Frank Morris had died in 2005. However, the authenticity of the letter was never confirmed. The case of the Alcatraz escape continues to fascinate the public and intrigue investigators. Over the years, several books, films, and documentaries have been produced about the story, each offering its own interpretation of the events. The Alcatraz escape also had a significant impact on prison operations. After the escape, authorities implemented additional security measures at Alcatraz and other maximum security prisons across the country. These measures included reinforcing cell walls, installing improved surveillance systems, and increasing the number of guards. Despite these security improvements, the Alcatraz escape remains a reminder of the human capacity for ingenuity and determination, even in the most adverse circumstances. The story of Morris and the Anglins has inspired numerous escape attempts from other prisons over the years. In 1963, just 1 year after the escape of Morris and the Anglins, Alcatraz was permanently closed. Authorities cited high operating costs and the deteriorating conditions of the prison as the main reasons for the closure. However, many believe that the Alcatraz escape also played a role in the decision. Today, Alcatraz is a popular tourist destination, attracting visitors from all over the world who come to learn about the history of the prison and to reflect on the audacious escape of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers. The mystery of the Alcatraz escape remains unsolved. Whether Morris and the Anglins survived the escape and managed to live in freedom, or whether they succumbed to the treacherous waters of San Francisco Bay, we will never know for sure. However, their story continues to captivate our imagination and remind us of the human capacity to defy the impossible. The Alcatraz escape is more than just a story of crime and escape. It is a story of hope, determination, and the pursuit of freedom, even in the face of overwhelming odds. It is a story that will continue to be told and retold for many years to come, keeping alive the mystery of the impossible escape from Alcatraz.